Yeah, a financial budget that serves those. That's exactly right. It was investments in our time and in our family. And holy crap, man.
We kind of, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time, even now, seek people who love to be together.
Yeah.
You know, and instead of, people who enjoy their time apart, it's better and it's all around just, something I search for with friendships. We hang out with people more that enjoy their marriages and.
For sure.
That's so good. We talk about like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Boom.
It's so easy to say, but harder to do at times. And also, I heard that as you were describing that story.
I learned about temptation and how God would, or the devil would put it in front of you, and how God could put it in front of you, and how to react, what to do, but identifying it is the first thing. Like, hey, this is probably not a good position for us to be in. We do it all the time. We still do it.
Yeah, the enemy will tempt you. God won't tempt you, but God will test you.
Test you. There's my words.
So
God will test you.
The enemy will tempt you.
Yep.
The enemy will tempt you 100%,
Yeah.
but God will test you.
Yeah.
But his character is never one to tempt you in moments like that. But he'll definitely put you to the test.
That's what
Hello and welcome to the Making Marriage Great Again podcast. We have an exciting conversation for you today with an extremely powerful couple. We hope that you are as excited to hear their story as we are. Before we get into this episode, make sure that you hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and then the notification tab so that you can be notified every time that we drop a new story. We love you. We can't wait for you to hop into this powerful conversation with us. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, guys. We've got Lindy and Matt Marchese here today, a serial entrepreneur, retired Army veteran, right? Matt was in the military as well, and these guys are up to just amazing stuff, man. They have a podcast called Protect Your Purpose, so check that out.
Absolutely.
There's some old videos out there. You guys launching that right now as well, or what?
we are. We're about to go into season 2, which we're really excited about. We had to do like sort of a rebranding thing. I'll tell the story in a minute.
Yeah. This dude's up to so much stuff, and they've got a ranch. They've got all kinds of stuff going on, so we cannot wait to hear their story. One of my favorite things about them is they're a power couple, man.
Yeah.
You always see them together, supporting one another, lifting one another up, and just doing marriage the way that we love to see marriage done. So. Love the way you lead, man, and love the way that you just come alongside your husband and lead in other areas.
Thank you.
We say there's 2 different ways to do this. You can either compete against one another, or you can complement one another, and you guys complement one another so well.
Dude, thank you. We talk about it all the time, and right back at you guys. We talk about that same thing. Real quick, that was awesome. This is the second time you've said it since we've been here. You refer to us as a power couple, but you don't refer to it the way I'm used to hearing it referred to. Do you understand that?
Yes.
What do you see by that?
Power couple, I feel like, I don't know, like works out together.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
strength or wealth
strength,
or
Yeah.
or like Brad and Angelina would be a power couple, or which turns out, right? As fate would have it, not so powerful. But wealth is how I would usually hear that, and you say it differently, and then you specified like you serve each other, you go in on one another, you're always together, and that's true. It's something that we're proud about, and we weren't always this way.
Yeah, can't wait to hear how you guys got here. I mean, that's the thing. Culture just gives us these views of what's going on and what's cool, right? We get to see everybody's life in a flash on social media.
Yeah.
Great. But what goes on behind the scenes? Because that's where it matters. It starts in your home. And I know the way that you guys lead, where you stand with some of these values that are so important to the world that we're trying to change.
Of course.
And really that starts with a husband and a wife. Like how are we aligned so that we can raise our kids, this next generation, to go out and change the world?
That's it, man. That's the game. We got kids.
Yeah.
We got a future, and it is scary. You know, a lot of that is fear driven for me, for us. I guess I could probably speak for both of us on this. That's where we went into this. That's why we decided to do our podcast. We saw that it's a scary world ahead for our kids, and like you said, change the world. What can we do to give everything that we have? There was, I don't know, we'll call it 10 years where people were looking inward at us and looking at us for maybe advice or, I don't know, guidance or whatever it was. And we didn't even realize what we were doing that others weren't doing probably at that time. And that's what you do special in, which is leaning in towards each other. Yeah. And it was only one of the few things that we thought, okay, we're not doing everything right. We certainly are flawed, and we certainly aren't
have work to do.
Yeah. We're always working on something,
Sure.
but there's a couple things that we do sort of naturally. And one of those things, and it wasn't always naturally, like I began to say, and that's leaning in towards each other, and we do everything together. I mean, if I'm not doing it or if she's not doing it, then we're both not doing it.
Yep. Saying no to those things, just saying, hey, we're going to do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything.
You say it wasn't always like that. What were some of the things that you did that weren't that way before?
Oof.
Good question.
You want to answer
He
something?
was golfing without me.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
was doing the football drafts, the NFL drafts, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Oh, fantasy.
Yeah.
Fantasy. There you
Yeah.
go. He was doing that. Well, we also did live separate for about a year. He was in Lincoln doing his construction and roofing stuff, and I was in the Army, about 2.5 hours away. So we would just see each other on the weekends mostly. And then he was going out with the guys. He was, and I was going out with the girls. I was, at home taking care of kids and Army, training and stuff like that. So we were just kind of drifting apart for quite some time.
Yeah, man.
It's hard when you're not living together, dude. So
Yeah.
many people think that that's a way to like handle life. We've got so much stuff going on, 2 different jobs, things like that.
Nuts.
But proximity matters. Of
course.
If you're not together,
Yeah, man.
it is so easy for a wedge to just come in between you, and these little things just start to tick away at you. It's easy to do life on your own when you're not together.
Of course.
Yeah.
When she was so she moved to Sioux City. She got reassigned, but I had my business that was in Lincoln. And what really was surprising now looking back was that I made the choice to do it. I didn't have to do that. I was choosing to be away from my family.
Wait, so were you guys in Lincoln together? You had to move.
Yes.
You
Yep.
had a job in Sioux City, which is what, two
2.5.
and a half
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
Lincoln?
2.5 hours.
So you have this job, and so you're like, well, I got to move. And then you're still back in Lincoln. How old are your kids at this time?
Oh, they were
2 and 3 probably.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first businesses that you guys launched?
Yeah, this was so I had a roofing business. It was like an exterior construction business, which I have since split from my partner on, and he went off on his own, and I went into the restoration world. That was how I got into the restoration business was through my original business was a construction business. But yeah, man, I was I had my first anxiety attack.
Been there before.
And it was serious. I was hungover. I was a mess. I was out all night long. I was out at Buffalo Wild Wings, just watching football, hanging out, drunk as a skunk. And this had become my norm.
Yep.
Is I was living away by choice, away from my family, making a claim to myself and to my wife. I wasn't lying to my wife. I was lying to myself.
Yep.
That I had to be there. That's how I had to grow my business. I had to be on the golf course drinking. I had to be at the bar. That's where my clients were. That's where I was with people. That's where deals are done. Reality. I'm separating, drifting apart from my wife. I'm making a choice to live away from my wife and my children, my babies. And I'm not really getting any work done. I'm really just drinking and then hungover and then going the next morning. I'm ruining the next day. And then, hair of the dog type mindset where, got to get back into it. Noon, I'm waking back up to reality and starting over again. Well, I can't go home again because I'm already drinking and I'm already, and it wasn't, I even till this day believe it wasn't an alcohol problem. I don't think I had an addiction to
Problem, no.
No, I think it was a mindset problem.
Lifestyle.
It was a lifestyle
Yeah,
problem.
it was a lifestyle. I mean,
yeah.
I was in the same boat,
Yeah.
man, doing the same things. Now, obviously, we weren't living apart at this time, but for sure, there was those seasons where it's the way that we look at provision. This is how I'm providing for my family.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
have to
I
do.
had to do
I
this.
have to do these things in order for us to have what we need
Yeah.
to be happy. And then you get it, and then it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
What's next? What's next? What's next? And then next thing you know, you find yourself in the spot of like, dude, my marriage is off.
Yeah, man.
How'd you guys realize that? How'd you come to this spot of like, dude, something's not right?
Fights all the time.
Yeah, we were
Arguing.
I was sick of it.
yeah, and I could feel it. So I hate to take credit for it. I think it was me because that panic attack set it off because I had never experienced that. Like I was a mess. And my little brother who was familiar with anxiety and he was like, dude, you need to be with your family. Like go home. go to your family from Lincoln. So I went and got in the car, and then I didn't make it maybe 5, 6, 7 blocks. And my eyeballs went blurry. Like I literally couldn't see. I had to pull over, had someone come pick me up.
World was closing in on you,
Dude,
man.
yeah, the world was closing in. I had begun to question my faith.
Yep.
I knew, I could sense that we were drifting apart. I was spending time without her out of our setting. She was spending time without me out of our setting, where, you know, obviously alcohol fueled fun parties, other guys, other girls. And I'm like, there's only one way this ends. But I literally went to a physical table with a physical piece of paper and started writing down.
It was actually a paper plate.
Yeah.
I remember.
A paper plate. And I basically I wrote all of the shit that I had in my life that was taking up my life, my time, my energy. And I ended up just literally taking people off of my plate, taking shit off of my plate.
What a picture, bro.
Yeah. And I landed on, you know, golf had to be removed. The bars had to be removed. All of this. My business partner had to be removed. All of those things. And I landed on literally my business, my wife, and my children. And I'm like, well, these are the things. So if I want to make this change, then these are the only things I have to focus on. And one thing that may be helpful for some of the audience or anybody really was it's easy to make excuses. And I knew that about me, that I can say that, like you described, I can say that this is for my family.
Yeah.
I can go to the golf course and make a claim that best serves my family.
We rationalize, we justify, we project, or we deny.
Right.
Like those are our three ways that we usually handle things.
And I could work through all of those.
Accountability. When accountability
do
hits,
that.
you're like, now what? This is a me issue.
Yeah, no problem. So once I realized that, it was hard because people were like, hey man, you want to go golfing? And I'm like, I don't golf. What do you mean you don't golf?
Yeah.
Come on, we'll do that. Nope. Listen, I'll go out on a boat if it's with my wife and my kids.
Come on, man.
That's for my wife and my kids. Me going out on a boat with you to work a business deal, sure, I could twist that, but it isn't. So quickly, I'll sort of fast forward, and I'm happy to elaborate, but and you can tell your side of that story. But ultimately, I had to make that change. And I had to make a ton of sacrifices to do it. I had to let a multi-million-dollar, we had ran to maybe $5 or $6 million in business, and I left with $0 on that. I had to start from zero. We had to sell our house in Lincoln because I said, I don't need this house anymore. I don't need to make it a rental property. I don't need any more excuses to be there.
Yeah.
While my wife is living in a little apartment in South Sioux City, Nebraska. So we sold our house and got rid of my part of the business, and we started over. Sort of I don't know, to me it was like a reset.
It was.
You?
100%.
Yeah.
How did you know that he was in with this? Like, because you're bitter at this point and frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden,
How long had you guys started?
No,
How
go.
long had you guys been married at this point?
Well, Cash was born
3 or 4 years.
So yeah, a couple years.
Okay, tell us the name of your kids. Are so cool. So Cash is the oldest.
Cash, and then Kason is 1 year younger.
Okay.
And then we have a 5-year-old Cora,
Cora.
who we call Coco.
So
Who is my favorite? Sorry, boys.
sorry, boys.
Sorry, boys. I love you too. I love you too.
You got a daughter, man. Like, I get it.
It's crazy, yeah.
So at this point, you guys had been married. Sorry, how long? Then?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. You
Yep.
got 2 little boys. You have them in another city, another town,
Yep.
really.
Yep.
Okay.
Little toddlers. Yep. We used to leave Lincoln, 8 or 9 o'clock at night and get home at 11 o'clock just to start the week over again. And then, the Monday
They would
night
leave
football
and I would,
yeah.
bye family, I love you. I'll see you next week.
Yeah. So, when he moved to Sioux City with me about a year later, that's pretty much when he explained to me what he was going to do, but I had to also take out some of that. And I was like, I don't think so. And it took probably, I would say, close to a year to understand what he was trying to do, understand, to both bring us back together, ignore all of the other noise that is trying to separate us, and just go all in on each other, basically, in our family.
Yeah. So we bought a boat.
Yeah, that
Bought a
was
boat.
that
We bought
was
a
the
boat.
first thing that
Yeah.
we really truly went in on as a family. Like, hey, do you want a house? We can buy a beautiful house if you want to, or do you want to go have fun with our family? You know, every night of the week if we want to, because the river, we used to
Yeah.
go on the river every single night with our boys. So that was life changing because we enjoyed being together. We had been apart for a year, so.
Yeah. So there was sort of purpose and not sort of, there was a great deal of purpose and meaning behind those decisions too. Lindy had just gotten promoted. She had just made E7. So we had another few $100s a month coming into our budget. I had just left my entire income, all of my income.
Fresh start, baby.
Fresh start.
Yeah,
Here we go.
literally.
So I was grinding and hustling. I'm like, all right, our previous years, and since we had ever been together, we were good being apart. Like we would go downtown to the Husker game. She would roll out with, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 girls. She would go roll out. We'll catch you later. I'm going to go hang with the guys. And we would meet back up later. And, it was almost respected by people. They were like, that's so cool that you guys can do that. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome that we can do that with no problems at all. So it was very cool. And that's sort of the life we lived until we didn't live that anymore, until that got us.
Yep.
And it did. And we were drifting and drifting. So number one, we didn't have a lot of money at the time. I had just lost all my income. So it was like, all right, how are we going to have fun, still do things, but have it together? So I was like, look, I can cut all of the bar costs, all of the outside dinner costs, all of the extracurricular, sort of expenses, financial expenses and time expenses that we were sacrificing. And I'm like, if we buy this boat, and it was a cool boat. It was like a 98 Cuddy cabin or something. Took out a payment. I took out a loan for it. And
The money shot. That's what that was called.
yeah, it was called the Money Shot. So
That was the name of the boat.
that was the name of the boat
Nice.
when we got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
When we bought it.
You
Yeah.
bought it.
And
Called
then
that.
we bought it called
Didn't
that.
have to change the name.
Nope, didn't change the name. Yeah, left it at that. So
SS never sail.
I said, that's right. I said, so if we buy this boat, this is what we do. Like we're boating. We're not Husker game people. We're not this and that people. We're not bar people. We're boat people. We go out on the boat. And Lindy was like, I'm in. You're buying a boat? Let's go. And it was it was a super sort of pivotal moment. One of the best decisions we made because that's what we did.
Made memories, man.
Dude, we took our kids out on the river. We were living in an apartment, mostly poor still. I hadn't even bought my first Serve Pro yet. And we were mostly poor, living in an apartment and figuring out life. And my kids were they were out on the boat. They were on the river. They didn't know. They were doing rich kid stuff, And we attracted friends that were with us, and we were like, this is fantastic.
And their families and
Yeah, their families would come, our friends would come, and we just spent time on the boat with the family together. That's what we did. And I think that was sort of the first really good decision we made as a family, to just lean all the way in. That's what we do. It's always together. And I mean, I don't know how many years ago that was. It was probably 2014,
I was just going to say.
maybe 15.
Yeah. But you took your business,
But it's been that way
skills, being
since.
able to build a business beforehand, and then started applying that to your life. It's
exactly what I did.
To my life.
It's exactly what I did.
and so often men and women both that are every strength has a backside weakness, right? So here's this strength of, I know how to operate a business extremely well, but we don't apply that into our life.
Yep.
Or we take the things that we think work really well in business, and then we start treating our spouse like an employee.
Yep.
And you said, okay, I'm going to take this P&L model. I know how to make money.
Yep.
Let's apply that to my life. What are the things I have to remove? Where should I spend a little bit more?
So good.
So
Bingo.
that I can start building my family the way that I want to build it.
Desired results.
Yeah.
What are the inputs that I'm going to do? What levers am I going to pull
Yep.
to achieve those?
Yep.
And that was it.
And had to make a budget, and then say, okay, let's go invest in a boat.
Like a love budget.
Yeah.
A family budget.
Yep.
Yeah. A financial budget that serves those. That's exactly right. It was investments in our time and in our family. And holy crap, man.
We kind of, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time, even now, seek people who love to be together.
Yeah.
And instead of, people who enjoy their time apart, it's better and it's all around just, something I search for with friendships.
Yep.
We hang out with people more that enjoy their marriages and
For sure.
That's so good. We
each
talk
other
about
first.
like, show me your friends,
Yeah.
I'll show you your future.
Boom.
It's so easy to say, but harder to do at times. And also, I mean, I heard that as you were describing that story. The people you were hanging out around with were these individual people.
Of course.
I'm going to go out with my 10 girls. I'm going to go out with my 10 guys. I'm going to play fantasy football, watch games, all of that stuff. Then all of a sudden we have a boat and people are coming around you that are like, oh, these people care about family too. They're together.
Yeah,
man.
Like everything starts to change. Your community matters, man.
Of course.
Totally. And that's how kind of we were, because we got married
Oh, my
23, 25. And so we got married and we still had all of our college friends, you know, not really high school friends so much because we just moved apart, but college friends and then work friends. And people wanted, like, it's common. And it's not that it's bad.
Right.
It just wasn't good
It just
for
didn't
us.
work for us.
Yeah. So then I get all, you know,
Right.
for my priorities, I was like, well, if he needed me and my girlfriend needed me, my best friend needed me, I mean, I was going for her. I was going to help her. That's what friends do. That's what girls do. And her marriage was on the rocks. And so then it was just like, that's how we both, I mean, fantasy football, are you kidding me? One night, I had a knockdown drag out. I left him.
Oh, that's
I
right.
left
I
him.
just got absolutely loaded at a bar.
At a draft, a
At a
fantasy football draft. I was livid.
Been there. Done
I
that.
slept in the back of the truck, I think, for a while.
He went to go to the bathroom and I watched him go outside. And I was like, okay, where's he going? He went in the back of his truck, passed out, and I was like, that's it.
That's it. We're I'm done.
That's it.
Unleashed, you know, and then whatever.
I was
So,
like
yeah.
24 blue moons in at that point or something
Yeah.
stupid, just
Yeah.
like trying to
But
keep
that's
up.
what we
But
did
it's what we did.
because that's what our friends
what we did.
Yep.
And it was, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll go out, you go out, we'll connect later. Everything's going to be fine.
And I deserve this. I've worked so hard, like like I worked
Yeah.
all day. Let's go out and let's do this. I deserve it. And I never thought about like how it was impacting my family at the time.
Me either, bro.
I was just providing, like
know.
deal with it. It's like this is your problem, not mine.
Yeah. It got so dark. And now I know in hindsight what that was. I didn't know. I just knew something was wrong. And now I know. It's very clear that was the devil's work. Like that was the juice.
100%.
That was the separation juice to destroy and destruct. And to the point where I literally was in this fight. I was questioning my belief in God. I grew up a Catholic, and I had always had, you know, a belief system of the Lord and of a higher power. But I started to question it all. I called one of my buddies. His name's Reese. He was always a fairly religious guy, but he was just really smart. So anything that I needed, like some really good logical perspective, something, an outsider's opinion, look at blind spots, I would confide in him. And he was like, yeah, this is normal, dude. Like, it's normal to question this. I'm going to send you a book. And he sent me a book called The Reason for God in an Age of Skepticism, I think is what it's called. And on my travels back and forth from Sioux City to Lincoln, my final travels back and forth from Sioux City to Lincoln, I listened to the audiobook.
Yep.
And just a couple moments in there clicked and sort of made me, I don't know, just see a different perspective and there was a lot. I've got them highlighted in my book, but there were several, but they were just click moments where I'm like, oh, shit. All right, I got it. All right, I got it. I hear you. And then that was when we started making all those changes. So I know you guys are both obviously faith-driven and God's at the center of your marriage. It's so important that it's there because if not, then you have the opposite of that.
Yep.
You have Satan, you have the devil, you have the divide coming in and the shit that's there to break you down. So I think you guys are onto something really special with that. And
There's
being
no
so
North
young.
Star together. Like you both have these two individual moral
course.
compasses where you're like, there's no way you can come together. You may have some overlap, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how do we make the final decision?
Yeah.
If you don't have that North Star that's aligned with one another, say
Well,
it's not my decision. It's not your decision. I just want God's best for our life. So let's follow that.
Yeah.
But prior to that,
my
I would
gosh.
consult with him and then I would go ask my friends and see what they would think. And so their view, their opinion, which really weighed heavily, and not that they were wrong or right, but it doesn't have to mean that's that's for us. And I don't know if you would go consult your friends.
No,
or-
probably not. We would just sit side by side, drink, and talk football.
yeah. But then like it was just a mess. We had no priorities. So so like he was a good guy. I was a good girl for the most part. But it's like we just were like, okay, if I would attack him because they'd be like, that's not right. What
Yeah.
That's not right.
That's not right. Your
Yeah.
way's wrong.
I'm the one who's right.
Well, Lindy's so don't get me wrong, Lindy was a savage back in the day. She used to fight. Ooh,
Yeah.
no, people today don't even believe what kind of savage Lindy was. I believe I say it perfectly, is that she was crazy AF. And I was making her crazy.
Yep. Oh my God.
Yeah. I was doing it to her. I was, and God rest his soul, my father told me that. She had broken up with me for probably, I don't know, maybe the 4th or 5th time.
Moved out in a day.
Yeah,
during
we were
the day.
dating before we were married. Yep. Every 6 months I used to say, well, I've got a Liberty card. I've got my free pass now. I've got my hall pass. She's gone again. So she would pack up and move out. And then finally she ended up in sort of a serious relationship. And I ended up talking to my dad about it. He's like, so what happened with Lindy? And I said, she's crazy. And he was like, what do you mean? And I told him the whole story, and I'm happy to share that too. But he was like, Matt, she wanted I'll give you the abridged version.
Yeah.
She wanted my passwords to everything on my phone. And
He used to
So
call,
glad you're sharing this.
he used to call me
you want
Inspector
all right.
Gadget.
Oh, dude, she was like a detective. I used to call her Ace Ventura. Any detective I could think of, I'd be like, okay, detective. But she was on this hunt for catching me in what I was putting off. And I know that now. I didn't at the time. And I really wasn't doing anything.
I never found anything at all, ever.
Well, she would.
I was just
Disappointing.
I was
kind
like,
of.
how can you be this flirty and this like I don't even know the word to describe him when he was 21.
I was on the phone with my ex-girlfriend from childhood, like 12 or 13, like baby ex-girlfriend, who we're all in the same friend group. I would handle it much differently now, but I called her, or she called me, or I called her, whatever it was, from my government phone. Lindy tapped into the government cell phone service company account. She was able to somehow manipulate her way to the password of the Army cell phone account and get my phone logs. And she was like, this is her number. Why were you talking to her on this phone? Or why were you, I was like, because I hadn't talked to her in a long time and she was trying to reach out. And she was like, well, why did you do it on that phone? I'm like, because I didn't want you to find out, because I knew that this would be the outcome. Needless to say, Lindy was being crazy as could possibly be.
Yeah, I've been
But
there.
on the other side of that, I was saying, you can't have my passwords. You can't have my cell phone.
Creating doubt, really.
Of course. I was casting this whole shadow of doubt, and I was hiding it from her. And then I was talking to my dad. We were separated. Well, we were broken up. We weren't married. So language. We were broken up. She had packed her shit up and moved out, more specifically, again. And my dad was like, so what happened with Lindy? And I was telling him the whole story. And he's like, Matt, let me ask you a question. Are you cheating on her? And I said, no. He's like, you got anything in your emails that she, and I said, no. He's like, give her the fucking passwords, man. What are you talking about? You said you love her, right? Yeah. You want to marry her? Yeah. And he said, let me explain something to you about marriage. You don't have privacy anymore.
Oh, let's
You don't
go.
get it's all together. And that was the day. I was sitting at a bar, go figure. And I remember on a napkin. So I've got a plate and a napkin now in this story.
Man, the kitchen's a big spot for you, bro.
Yeah, no, this is at a bar. The kitchen and the bar. I'm getting stuff done.
Utensils
now.
around
That's
this
right, I get my
guy.
utensils. I had a fork. I was carving it with a knife.
Somebody
too.
get a fork, and we're gonna have a
That's
new business
right.
plan by the end of the day.
So I changed the passwords to everything I had, everything I could from a cell phone, which was like an old Sprint flip phone at the time. So I changed those, and I changed them all to one password, and then I wrote down the other passwords that I couldn't on a napkin. And I was like, with the OG camera phone, got it. Here's all my passwords. You can have them.
Fast forward 20 years. He's like, will you please respond to these emails? Will you please respond to these text messages?
Here's my phone. It's yours now. But that's all the difference. It really was.
Gosh.
So that's what my dad told me. He was like, it sounds like you're making her crazy. I'm like, well, all right. In hindsight, I definitely was. I definitely was.
Yeah.
And we continued down the path of sort of a restoration process through an ugly, and people look at us like, you guys are so amazing. Like, you do this, you do that. I'm like, if you only knew. The first 10 years of our relationship was ugly and toxic. This is only the second 10 years.
Yep.
And we're proud of it. but we work on it.
That's right.
It's intentional.
The intentionality that you've already
intentional.
displayed in so many different areas, and your grace through all of this of like, here he is doing these
My
things.
lady's a saint.
I know, man. You and me both.
Yeah.
But your intentionality with it is what I love, because here you are. So many people will not share passwords. You guys, we hear it every day. Like
Really? Still. Unbelievable.
And to your exact question, what are you hiding?
My dad's question.
Your dad's question.
What are you hiding?
Well, nothing. Most of the time it's not nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not willing to share those, it's so hard to build security and trust, which is what every woman needs. They need to feel safe.
Yeah.
And when you're hiding something and doing things in the dark,
Boom.
nobody's going to feel safe. It's a transition. It's in the dark.
Dude, I love
How do you
that.
make them feel safe? Bring them into the light. Let's get them out there.
That's
incredible.
incredible. That's a great perspective.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't think about feeling safe and how unsafe that would make you feel. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which I think is why women go crazy.
Yes.
I mean, like honestly, in their relationship, that's what made me crazy, was because I couldn't look at his phone. One, because he probably thought I would just send a text message or hit the wrong button. I don't know what, but maybe he was hiding stuff, but not all the time.
Not all the time, but
Yeah.
some of the time, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I was like, okay, I'm suspicious. Like, what's he got on there? What's he like? If he falls asleep, I'm just gonna go over there and just gonna look at it. Then it opens up a whole another can. But
Tiger Woods moment.
bro, I mean, we've had
Tiger Woods moment.
similar healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what it makes us crazy. And we don't want to be crazy, but then we start to control and, act a fool, and it's all just a spiral.
Another perspective from my side of that. Not that I want to sit here and claim Mr. Innocent on everything, because I wasn't. But just the idea of another girl or another woman at the time, or even today, texting me, or sending me a picture, or sending me an email, or calling me, or something. I used to believe that I had to shelter you from that. And if I said it out loud. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to freak out, not knowing that not telling you would be the cause of the freak out.
Yep.
Whereas now I have a whole different perspective, which is if someone, and I don't know that it's happened, and not very often in the recent years, but at any time, it wasn't very often if it ever did. But if an ex-girlfriend or an old fling or an old like anyone who were to text me now, the first thing I would do is tell my wife. It's like, well, I just want you to know.
Yeah.
You're welcome to respond if you want, or we can respond together. But again, it's the group thing, no matter what. And for me, that was another hurdle.
Guardrails and boundaries, man. That's one of our first ones to put in place.
Guardrails and boundaries.
Guardrails and boundaries, man.
What's that mean?
Well, just a guardrail or boundary. You think about it on the side of the road. What it does is it keeps you on the road. So if we've got this lack of boundaries being, okay, anybody can text me. It's a wide open, females, males, whichever we're going. And I don't share those with my wife. I'm just opening the door. And intentions may not be bad, but over time, these small little compromises that we make, we say it this way. Your marriage is either going to die by 1,000 paper cuts or a catastrophic event. Most of the time, if it's 1,000 paper cuts, it turns into a catastrophic event.
And it can be prevented.
And it can be prevented with guardrails and boundaries. Cell phone or text messaging somebody from the opposite sex is one. We just do same thing that you do. It's a group text, and if you text me, you'll add I'll add my wife, or I'll add their wife, or their husband, or whatever it is, and we just don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just easy.
But I did for years because I'm friends with guys. Like I'm friends with guys, and I'm friends with their wives or whatever. But I started thinking, okay, as we were separated.
Yeah, that story's pretty cool.
Well,
the car.
Yeah, so I had been challenged by one of my mentors because as we were separated and he was just ticking me off the whole time, and I was like, I'm gonna fight for our marriage. He thought I was controlling. He was done. Yep. And so a friend of mine was like, challenged me in this area. And I was like, what do you mean? I was a nurse at the time. I worked with doctors. A lot of them are male. I'm not attracted to them. They're like, fine. Like, I would totally text them. She was like, I'm going to challenge you because you don't know when you're in this weak moment, if you would reach out, you send a little thing, if they send a little thing, it happens so naturally, and it happens, I think, all the time. Yep. And so I have been at the gym, Lifetime Fitness, and I was desperate because I was like working out and I just needed a few minutes away from our kids at the time. So they were down in the daycare. Our son really, like, whenever his friends would leave, then they'd call me because he crap his pants or like he'd cry. That sounds terrible, but he would do something. He was little, and so
He still does. If he's not playing with somebody, he loses his mind. He's got to be outside.
Loves people. So anyways, he ends up. So I'm like, Rena, will you leave? So my friend Rena and Sean. So she had to leave the gym to go take their kids somewhere, but her husband was going to stay there for just a little bit. And I was like, I'll bring him home. Can you please, have him stay here, have your kids stay here so I can stay and finish my workout. Totally platonic. The whole thing was platonic, but I've been challenged. Watch your boundaries. You say that you're fighting for your marriage. What are your things on the weekend? Not that you have to be perfect, not that you have to, but just examine your own heart, figure out where you're falling short. And so I was at the stoplight with my friend's husband, who's like a brother, and it hit me like, what are you doing? What if someone saw you sitting with your friend's husband? Your kids are in the background. The story's legit. I'm just taking him home. But what if someone would see that and be like, I thought she was fighting for her marriage. I thought, and it's not that we have to do things for other people's perceptions, but what was I trying to put out there? If you're a married couple, a guy or a girl, and you're spending time with a lot of people of the opposite sex, you're reaching out, you're joking, you're shooting memes back and forth, it's a recipe for disaster.
Agreed. So
that just one area where I told my friend, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I should have just let your husband go. I was pretty selfish. I wanted to stay there and work out. She's like, you're talking about being attracted to him? She was like, you guys are like brothers or siblings. And I was like, I know, but something felt off this time. So I'm so sorry I put him in that position. She was like, oh, whatever. And it wasn't a big deal for her, but for me, God was starting to chip away at some of my things that I also contributed to the breakdown of our marriage, and that was one of them. Watch yourself when you're talking to guys. You're flirty. You like to have a good time. Have some boundaries. You don't have to be straight and narrow.
Right.
Just watch yourself, because you never know when the devil's going to attack, and just temptation, man. It's
temptation.
Yeah.
One Reese, the guy I was telling you about earlier, who's now a surgeon and very successful and have published research all over the world, and he's a badass. But his dad was also very spiritual and religious, and he told me, Reese and I, when we were kids, didn't even really have an understanding of what he was saying. Thinking now he might have been on like paleo or something. But I'm going to go talk to him about it. But he told us, you need to prepare for this as you get older. God will challenge you, and he is going to put temptation in front of you. He told me this story. I wonder if he remembers. He's got to. Where he was having this moment where he was somewhere in the woods maybe, and he was being faced by all of God's challenges, like one after another, month after month. And he was like, I faced temptation. Walked over this thing, and I probably shouldn't tell the story, but he was faced with a woman
that was in, I don't know, maybe skimpy clothes or whatever, laid out on a blanket. And he was like, boom, I got you. Temptation. Nope. Yep. I'm not doing it. So he was on a hunt. He was on a journey to find himself and find what was, right for him. And he identified those. I learned about temptation and how God would, or the devil would put it in front of you, and how God could put it in front of you, and how to react, what to do. But identifying it is the first thing. Like, hey, this is probably not a good position for us to be in. We do it all the time. We still do it.
Yeah, the enemy will tempt you. God won't tempt you, but God will test you.
Test you. There's my words. So God will test you.
The enemy will tempt you.
Yep.
The enemy will tempt you 100%, but God will test you.
Yeah.
But his character is never one to tempt you in moments like that, but he'll definitely put you to the test.
That's what I was trying to say.
And allow
that's
challenges.
What he said.
Allow challenges, and then you're like, oh man, yeah.
Interesting, man.
Okay, so you guys make this decision, like, okay, we're gonna figure this stuff out, man. Like, we're gonna figure this marriage thing out. We're getting a boat. We're gonna hang out on the river. We're gonna hang around with people that know how to do marriage. You're still in Sioux City at that time.
Yes.
When did you guys come back to Omaha, or where'd you go after that?
We only came back to Omaha almost 4 years ago.
Were you in Sioux City up to that point? Okay, so you're up there starting a business. Did you launch your first Surf Pro up there?
Yeah. So
okay.
You want to hear that story?
Yeah, please.
All right. So
Whatever Matt says, you want to hear it? It's like,
definitely. Like,
right.
absolutely.
So, you want to hear?
Abridged version, please.
Yeah, you want to hear the
Land the
abridged
plane,
version?
land the
Okay,
plane.
so we had a couple. There's a couple parts to this story. So
Okay.
I have sort of the old business that I had to get rid of.
The roofing one.
The roofing one, yeah.
Okay.
That business was the devil.
Yep.
You also learned a lot from
Of course, yeah. I learned a lot. A lot, and I could spend probably an hour talking about the shit I learned during that business. But needless to say, I left that business. It was ugly. My partner and I had an ugly split. Sort of an ugly divorce from a business perspective at its finest.
Yeah.
And ultimately, through all of the challenges and the education that I took away from that, I decided what I didn't want to do. So basically everything partnership wise that I messed up on there, I decided I was going to come home and I was going to make my wife my business partner.
Let's
a 50-50
go.
business partner.
So good.
Yeah. And I said, here's the deal. And she was like, well, I'm not a part of the business. I'm like, nope, you're my 50-50 business partner. Like, that's what this is. And of course, as anyone who now knows Lindy would be like, she's not my 50-50 business partner. You're not my, get out of here. Like, that's what she says. Right. She's now the favorite owner, but they would laugh at it. I'm like, no, I had to explain it to her. If we're going all in on this, you are my 50-50 business partner. Your role primarily might not be running.
It's not operational.
Business.
It's more support.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's an even split.
Yep.
We are that. You have to do this. And of course, like usual, she's like, all right, I can see that. I'm down with that. Sure. Whatever you say.
Okay. Full support.
Full support.
Any fear on your side during that time?
yes.
For sure.
Oh, yes.
Do you share that with him?
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I know now.
Okay.
I didn't know if he knew what he was really doing.
Okay.
As far as business goes and money, and I was very scared financially, not like morally or anything like that.
Operationally.
Operationally, yeah, no.
Just more scared about finances.
Yeah.
I was, because we were relying on my income only, and so he was like, I'm gonna buy this business, and I was like, what? You don't.
With all of the money that we didn't have,
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to buy this business. So
Hold on. Did you guys like talk through that together?
I'll
Or
tell
were
you
you-
that story.
Okay.
So here's how this went. I went through this whole, what I now look back at, and it was sort of a spiritual transition,
Okay.
a process that I went through. And through all the stuff that we talked about,
Yep.
were sort of the catalyst of this. And I decided I'm going to blindly, I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave my partner. He begged me, my business partner.
Yep.
He begged me to stay. And I'm like, listen, dude, I could really, he was an ugly person in his heart, I believe.
Sure.
So I identified that, and it was sort of whatever I do, I have to get out of this.
Yep.
He is one of the people that were on the plate that had to be scratched off of it. He had to be taken off my plate. He was more of a liability than an asset. He was taking from me, taking away from his energy, was pulling from this. So that was sort of where one of the drivers where I said, I have to get out of this. And that was the opposite of what I'm going to do in my next partnership with my wife, which is we're going to be all in together and exactly aligned, and this is what we're going to do. So, but I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I had to get out of that partnership. And of course, my wife was like, so how are you going to make money? And I'm like, well, I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure that out. Like, I know how to make money. It's one thing I know how to do. Naturally.
Just comes.
It just comes. I mean,
yeah.
my
And you're
mother-
driven.
I'm driven.
Yeah.
My mother and father were both money makers. Like, they were both like, they never were rich, but they were hustlers, whatever they needed to do. My mom needed to clean toilets and my dad needed to pack out a moving truck. Like, that's what we were going to do. It didn't matter.
Love it.
And the kids were going to come too. Like,
Yep.
let's go. So I grew up that way.
So work ethic was easy for you.
Not
You
a
just
problem.
always had it.
Yep. Not a problem.
Grew up, hey, we go to work, we get stuff done.
Yep. I had gone into an inactive status in the Army.
Okay.
So one of my first things to do was go back into an active status. So worst case scenario, if I was going to fail, I sort of had a backup plan.
Yep.
Sure.
Meanwhile, while Lindy takes a back seat and makes a claim that she wasn't a 50-50 business partner, she paid 100% of our bills. And she cared for our children 100% of the time. Like, she was, serving her role.
Yep.
And I was figuring out what I was going to do on the business side. So I sat there, I went through some depression. I went through some sadness. There were days where Lindy would walk in from work and I was just laying on the couch, just, I don't know, just dying.
Yeah.
You know, I applied for some jobs. Here's a reality check. Like, holy shit, getting a good job was hard.
Yep.
And I was failing at it. I'm like, what the hell? Don't you people understand? I'm good at things. Like, I'm good at shit. Hire me. So I had applied for a job at the Hard Rock and I was sucking. Meanwhile, I was kind of...
in Sioux City still? There's a
yeah,
Hard
I was in
Rock
Sioux
there?
City. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is. It was brand new when we got
that's
there.
right.
During this time, they were, it was brand spanking new. It was maybe a year or two old and they were doing expansions and it's beautiful now. It's awesome. But anyhow, I decided while going through more exercises on lists of things that I could do and scratching things that I want to do, I decided I didn't want to go back into the roofing and construction business, but we had dabbled in restoration. I liked it. I thought there was a good opportunity financially. So I started looking up different restoration companies. ServPro, the one of which that I now own, I was a subcontractor for in my construction business. So I was familiar with that. And on a Google search, I found a ServPro in Sioux City that appeared to be closed. It was like a home address, no online presence. I thought it was closed. So I called the number to see if they were still in business, and a guy answered. His name was Ken. His name is Ken. He's still alive and kicking. And Ken answers, "ServPro, this is Ken." And I was like, "Oh, hi, Ken." And I panicked, and I didn't know what to say. And I said, "My name is Matt. I'm new in town, and I'm honestly just thinking about becoming a competitor, and I wanted to see. I didn't know if you were still in business or not. Honestly.
Great intro.
Yeah, shit, panic. I was 100%. No one was answering that phone. It was out of business.
Yep.
And I said, "Well, okay." And he said, "Well, I'm not. I'm still in business, but I'm for sale." And I said, "Well, it looks like a business I don't want to buy, but maybe it is." And I said, "Why are you selling?" And he said, "Because I've been doing it for 35 years and I'm tired." And I was like, 30 years? Like, I'm interested in that. Or 30 years and I'm tired. And I'm like, 30 years? I'm interested in this. So, okay, can we maybe meet or set up? He said, I'm gonna have you call somebody else, because he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know anything about like the sale process.
Yeah.
And he introduced me to what became my consultant after I purchased it. But him and I met. And then I came home and I told Lindy, I'm like, I'm going to buy this ServPro business. And she said, how? And I said, oh, I have no idea. We don't have the money. So long story shorter than it can be, on a leap of faith and a blind phone call, I ended up meeting this guy who became like a saint on earth, who gave me this opportunity, financed me on the whole thing.
Straight
and
up
I paid
angel
him
investor,
off.
man.
It was
Dude.
him and one other guy.
Not an angel investor, a real angel.
Yeah.
An angel on earth. Yeah, he had two. It was just him and one other. He had one employee, and he was basically, I don't know. I was sent to. He believes God sent me to him too, because his kids didn't want the business. His business wasn't really sellable because it was just him.
For Ken.
For Ken.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ken believes that the Lord sent me to him. Meanwhile, I'm like, you're God. You're
Dude,
here.
He's so good at making those arrangements, man.
So it was sort of a match made in heaven. My plan, so I'll give you a little bit of that too,
We're
maybe.
gonna pay Kevin.
Yeah.
I looked at you.
You
We're
can pay
gonna
me too.
Yeah, we're gonna pay everyone.
We're paying Ken till he dies.
Yeah. I was like, so here's what we're gonna do: is we're gonna try and get a compassionate reassignment. Like, we had this whole plan to get us back to Lincoln, but we needed a year there. And I'm like, all right, I'll give this business a facelift, and then I'll try and sell it. And if I can double the money on it, like, we made out good. And then maybe a month later, I called Lindy and I was like, hey, I remember right where I was when I called her, and I said, we cannot sell this business. And she said, what do you mean? And I had just made a significant amount of money. I mean, thousands of dollars in a day. And I was like, this is the tip of the iceberg. This business is a fantastic business. It's scalable. We cannot sell it. And she's like, so that's a good thing? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. We cannot sell this for a good reason.
Okay.
I think we need to shift our focus. Like, this is a really great career. We should shift our focus off of yours being our primary focus, because we decided that was what it was going to be. And we should go all in on this. She's like, okay, if that's what we're doing, that sounds good.
Dang.
So I literally, go ahead. What were you going to say? Because you're
No,
right.
I mean that takes faith, that takes belief, that takes
It was
a
scary.
lot.
Courage and confidence for me to say, we're now going to backseat your career and put this one in front of it.
Yeah.
trust. And we did. So we did exactly that. We were like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stick in Sioux City. We're going to ride this out. We're going to do. So she started to move her career in the Army. We don't have a lot of control over our next moves, but we get like wish lists and we get requests and you can transfer and move positions. I mean, there's a little bit of control that we can try to achieve. So we shifted our gears to try and make her be able to stay in Sioux City as long as we can, because now we had this great opportunity in this growing business that we moved from, a few $100,000 a year to over $1 million in 1 year, and then the next year into $2 million, and then the next year into more.
Double-digit growth year after,
double growth,
Love it.
double volume every year.
Yep.
So we continued moving, and then I was like, okay, Nebraska's wide open. So we went into the Nebraska market. So I knew that the guy who I had known, he's kind of an odd duck, but the owner of the Serve Pro in Lincoln, where I'm like, I think he's been at it a long time and sort of I was now out producing him and he had been at it for 20 years. So I'm like, all right, I think we can probably buy that. So then we just started moving into Nebraska, and everywhere we went, Lindy would just, still active duty, still no control over her career, still grinding, still working. But the difference between the last one and this one was that we were business partners, not someone else was my business partner.
So how many Surf Pros do you have today?
13.
You guys have 13 of them, all around the Midwest?
Yeah, so we've got Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and a little bit into Missouri.
Okay.
But yeah, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas.
All started in Sioux City, Iowa.
Dude, that one phone call to that guy.
Well, they lived in Sioux City, Nebraska, but that was probably in Sioux City, Iowa.
Yeah, it was. It's Iowa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, good for you. And you've just been along for the ride and just trust and faith. And
now I don't really question anything.
No. When I'm gone,
well, yeah.
Sometimes I have to be gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now,
storm season.
Yeah.
A lot.
But now we know I don't want to be.
Yep.
I'm there because I have to be, because I spent 8 full years not doing anything that I wanted to do outside of my family and my business and my wife. That's it.
99% of the time, though, we're together.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably right.
Yeah, every time I see you guys, it's just so fun to see you guys and just the way that you do life, man. I mean, the story is a perfect picture of like what it's looked like for you guys to get here. When did you step out of the Army?
I retired May of this year. So
oh, okay.
2024. Yeah.
So just recent, just a couple months ago.
Yep.
And now you're full-time
mom and wife.
Mom and wife.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been great so far. We've traveled and taken our kids a lot of places, and now school's about to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Bro, we made a decision to do that. That's what people don't see today.
Intentionality, man.
We we were intentional about it. We no longer do this. We do this now. Mm-hmm. We are this couple now. And people, we face challenges. I stopped golfing. I totally convinced my wife that I hated golf. She believed it. I'm like, no. I don't hate golf. I actually loved golf.
Yes.
I overly loved golf. That's why I have to hate it now. That was the problem.
Same story,
is that I was golfing 6 days a week.
Yep.
Now we've eased back into golfing, but the only thing that's changed is I am with him at the golf course.
Yes.
My friends, our husbands are golfing, and then, it's 3 or 4 hours, and then
man.
back together.
So much more fun that way than 8 hours at the golf course. 19th hole turns into the rest of the night.
The
rest of the night.
And then the rest of the night turns into tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my cycle that I was in.
Yep. I was in that for a long time too.
Yeah, man.
Tell us about Protect Your Purpose. Why you guys started that and what you're up to.
You talk. my voice hurts. I'm just kidding. I could continue to talk for hours.
Matt's voice never hurts.
Never hurts.
I was going to say, I feel like it started about 5 years ago. He was also still in the Army. He went to an Army school, woke up one morning, gave me a call and said, I just had a dream, because he had been on the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
was when she was receiving this call, by the way. She was sleeping.
And he was like, babe, I had the craziest dream. I want to own a whiskey distillery. And I was like, what? You own Surf Pros. You crazy. But nothing's changed. Every day he wakes up with something new. But he told me his whole plan, and it's a whiskey distillery or spirits brand, But our tagline, Protect Your Purpose, the whole whiskey brand will be branched out to, it's the bottom line is freedom. I don't know how
You
to
did good.
explain it.
Yeah. No, that was
You did
good.
good. Listen, I wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
I've caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I did that on purpose. So, all right, it's a long, long story. How much time?
We got as much. This is our show, dude. We got as much time as we want.
We control this. I love it. The few things we can control. That's right. He controls this.
That's right.
So, all right. I decided at that time that I was going to open a distilled spirits brand, but I had my thing. I was a whiskey consumer at the time, like maybe a connoisseur wannabe consumer, not like I'm not pounding whiskeys
Right.
and taking shots. I was enjoying different kinds of whiskeys. I had went from, whiskey and soda to whiskey on the rocks to whiskey neat to good whiskeys. I'm like, oh, this shit is good.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a passion for it, and I didn't want to ruin my passion. What I initially thought was that I would do a nonprofit. Like if I can make the first ever legitimate 501c3 nonprofit distilled spirits business, I'll be awesome. Like this would be great. And it won't take away from my passion. It will feed it. Well, then I started searching for a purpose. And through all sorts of different industries and different purposes that I could serve and different things, ultimately, none of them really, it was fake. It was fake. I was manufacturing a purpose. That's what I was doing. Did you know that? No. Did I ever draw that? That might be the first time I've ever said that out loud. Like, I think that's what I was doing.
Yep.
I wanted this so bad that I was willing to just find something, attach something to it, and boom, there it was.
Yep.
And it couldn't grow. It couldn't grow in my mind. The vision couldn't grow. And then I had to do the same thing. I had to soul search. What's my purpose? And I learned that aside from the three things that 10 years prior, at that point, it was probably 6 years prior, I had put in the center of my plate as my purpose, my wife, my kids, and my business. It was freedom, and it was my wife, my children, and my business's future of freedom.
Yep.
And I said, that's our freedom, or that's my purpose, is protecting freedom. And how can I do that? So I started looking at, okay, what do I think is the mission that is going to essentially serve that purpose? And it's all the things like our marriages and the nuclear family, and making sure that we preserve our truth and our freedoms, freedom of speech, and all the things that we preach daily, that you all preach daily. God, making sure that we defend our Lord, and making sure that we defend the freedoms that come with that.
Yep. And
then it dawns on me, why am I trying to find some other purpose that fits in someone else's box when I have my own? I'm very clear on it. People, when my buddy Zach says, when he thinks of me, he says, whiskey, America, and freedom. Or whiskey, business, America, whiskey, America, freedom. And it's these same things that are what other people use to define me. I'm like, that's my purpose. I'm fighting for my purpose every day. So I decided, all right, I'm going to revamp this business model, and how can I do that? One of the first things that I knew was under attack was freedom of speech.
Yep.
I talk a lot of crap about, hey, you got to, use your voice, use your voice, use your voice. Meanwhile, I wasn't using my voice. So I'm like, all right, man, we got to do, how am I going to do this? I got to start one of these podcast things. Let's go. That's a good start. Talk to people about it. And that was a really, really magical thing. So I was like, all right, I have the American purpose at the time was the plan. And I called my little brother and I'm like, hey man, you know me, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm starting a podcast. Here's my reasoning. Here's my purpose. This is what I need. I need a title. I need sort of what am I going to call this podcast? My brother's super sharp, witty, and creative like that. And I think maybe 5 minutes after we hung up the phone, he texted me and said, protect your purpose.
Come on.
And I'm like, let's go, bro. That's it.
So good.
So I sent it to Lindy. I'm like, one shit took him 5 minutes. I've been thinking about this for weeks. So nailed it. So I went into the dive for trademark ability and, how can I protect this? Pun intended.
Yep.
And what can I do? So we dove into it. So we had the business name, we had the podcast name. How could we string all this together, build a brand? And, a brand surrounded around whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom,
Yep.
which would be my sort of core purposes. And as you guys have obviously known, God sits at the center of that. Our first several guests came on to her like, my purpose is just God, man. Like, this is easy. But that's the basically the brand messaging and identity of the business. And I can probably talk later about the business plan too, if you want to hear about it. But that's how we got into it. And that's where the Protect Your Purpose came from. It was one of those things that hit so hard when it was said to me. Others that I said, they're like, yes, I know what that is. So people come up to me. I wear this hat every day of my life, basically. And people daily ask, what does that mean? And it's sort of a really fun answer that I give them, and is, what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
And I get to hear all of the purposes.
It's an invitation into conversation, man.
It's so great. And a meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
Purpose is such a powerful, that's why I was going to give up the whole, I told you earlier backstage that if I couldn't get the word purpose marked for this business, then I couldn't do it, because we literally could not find another word that could replace it. So the only chance I had was to go buy the mark from the people who own it, which would have been a fat chance. But man, meaningful, deep conversations about what's important to people. And it promotes and it sort of prompts this emotional trigger that I've gotten that it also prompts hate, by the way, which is because people immediately see it and peg me as, this might as well say, make America great again.
Right. Or making marriage great again.
Right. Yeah. It also prompts that emotion.
Which is good.
Which is fantastic. Right. That's the purpose.
If we can talk about these things and then sit down and have a meal afterwards, who cares?
Yeah.
We don't have to hate one another. It's not about hate. It's just like, I'm passionate about this.
In fact, the opposite.
Right.
Like the devil's work and in this war, the spiritual battle that we're in, and I believe
100%.
It's a good and evil. That's evil.
Yep.
Evil is dividing us. Together, we can survive this. We can survive anything. Divided, we can't. You know, what do they say?
United we stand, cannot stand.
That's what you say, right? Yeah. United we stand, divided we fall. Like it's a tactic in war. So that was the point. And going into season 2, that's what we're going to lean into. I decided on our first year in podcast, that was my driver of the podcast. If I can get people on to believe, I didn't want to create a debate show. I wanted to spend a year getting my voice heard, our voice heard, getting our story told, showing people how we live, who we are, what we do, and with the understanding that we can disagree and still be friends, which is why our friend Nikki and Andrew, we were like, oh man, if this friendship becomes a friendship, like we can show the world that people from opposite ends of the world can be dear friends, and we can leave our mark and show people leading by example that you can believe opposite things and still be dear friends. So that was the whole premise of my show. Next season, that's what we're going to do, is have people on in a more peaceful manner where we can actually have those difficult conversations, I guess, some political, some not. I mean, I disagree with people in all sorts of shit. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss on your show?
You can do anything you want, man.
Okay. Yeah. I cuss on my show. We also drink. On the way here, Lindy was like, God, what did you say?
Nothing.
What did you say? I don't want to misquote you.
Take the edge off.
What did you, something that she's like, I hate being sober. I hate not drinking.
Yeah.
What did you say? I forget.
Like one little glass of wine just kind of makes me a little bit more talky.
More chatty?
More chatty on the podcast.
We're also doing 75 hard right now, so I wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, this is day 2. I don't even know if we can call it 75 hard.
So you can start over tomorrow.
It's still early.
If you're going to blow it now.
That's right. That's exactly right. Early enough, no problem.
You guys have done that a lot of times.
Yeah, how many times?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, so you've learned a lot of times, right?
We've succeeded once. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say one time, the first time we ever did it, we went all in hard. And then I think we missed one thing the last time we did it. And we were so close that I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone I finished.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We never came out and said, we did 75 hard. We literally missed one thing. So.
I didn't take a picture And then we were with a group of people, and we were like, if we got all these people to come do it. So we're like, we can't fail and bail. So
We were just like, congratulations, guys. You did it.
Yep, but we stayed with them the whole time. We did all the rest of the things, and at that point stopped taking my picture, but I did all the rest of the things for that time. But we technically didn't finish. We failed.
Yeah. Did we ever finish? I think we got to the end and we
didn't do the picture,
got a little
but we
soft.
did the 2 workouts, no drinking.
Yeah.
What else did we do? Because we were like walking around the neighborhood, reading.
Yeah.
Walking around the neighborhood at like
9:30 at night. Like,
9:30.
okay, it's only been 25 minutes. Shoot.
Football practice would get over at like 9, and here I am walking in the outside in the dark. I'm like, this is so
I'll
dumb.
never forget. I was at a football game with Nicole, and I was telling him on the way home, I haven't done my second workout, and he was like, "Yeah, I know," and it's 12:30 at night, like.
And I'm waiting for you to come home.
Yeah, I thought he had already went and done it, so I thought I was gonna have to walk it.
Oh, no.
1 a.m. by myself.
1 a.m. doing our 45-minute ruck around the neighborhood. Yeah, man, it's hard. It's
You guys ruck all the time, though, right?
We do.
Let me hear about that a little bit. What's your purpose for the ruck? Because you're always carrying a flag and you're always standing for something when you do it.
Yeah. So, what was it? Memorial Day, 2 years ago. So, shout out to the 50 Mile March crew. That's what started us on the ruck. So we had been in the 75 hard game. So we would do like one workout, either a CrossFit or a cardio, and then we would do a walk. And it was a really also powerful. So for your audience and clients and community that you guys are in, walking together and making sure we do that together was so powerful for our relationship. So I'm really happy that for that reason, if no others, that 75 hard came into our life, because I'm like, I'm going for my walk. Do you want to come? Next thing you know, we've got my kids, my wife. We're walking together. It's just more family time, like a dedicated hour of family time where talking. Phone off.
Just think about that for a minute, because the alternative is sitting in a bar or doing something alone. And so here you are making
Sitting on the couch
sitting
by
on the couch,
yourself.
watching TV, reading a book. Some of those things, good things.
Yeah, man.
But then here's this moment where you're just like, dude, we're committed to this. You're making a change in your life that's impacting your kid's life. And you're spending time together doing it.
Yeah.
I love
They
it.
would take scooters. They would take rollerblades. They would take their bike. Anything. Or like whatever you want to. I would push Cora in the stroller. She loved it. Yeah, it was good times.
Love that.
Yeah.
We still do it just up and down our driveway now.
Yeah, now we've got this big old driveway, so it's half mile up, half mile back, so we can get 2.5 miles in a couple up and down. So, but yeah, that's our time if our kids are with us, that's kind of free time, sunshine, fresh air, exercise, blood flow, brain power, all that stuff. Get out of my way! Get out of chaos as families are. But when it's just Lindy and I out on a walk, it's scheduling for the day tomorrow, unloading the feelings on the day, any issues we have,
So good.
Yes, it's undivided attention away from our phones. We don't have TVs in our house anyway, but away from technology. That was a really, really powerful sort of a second and third and fourth degree benefit that sort of an unintentional blessing that we got.
Surprise,
Unexpected out of it. And that when we come off the program and then inevitably we fade, life takes us, we travel, and we're like, we're not doing our walks. I'm like, I feel the loss of our walks, obviously physically, but our connection fades without those. So anyway, that was sort of a side note. But 75 hard came into our life. That's a different story. We'll save that for next show. Invite me back.
Yeah.
We'll come back. The 50 Mile March, Jay Morales, he was on my show. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he created not to give his purpose and his story, but he created an incredible foundation called the 50 Mile March, where we walk 22 hours from Lincoln to Omaha, 50 miles overnight. Wow. So we launch at 5 p.m. and we land in Omaha at 3 p.m. So over the course of 22 hours, symbolism for veteran suicide, 22 a day.
Come on, man.
We do that ruck. So when we were doing 75 hard, we got asked to do that. And I was like, well, we walk every day. Like, we can probably do that. first of all, 45-minute walks are not suitable training for a 50-mile march. Just so everyone's clear,
First time we
a mile or two a day is not suitable
Right.
training.
Maybe Google training for that
you
before
might
you
want to create a better
Yeah.
training plan because we
Get
had
a get a plate or a napkin and start putting
That's right.
and start
You know
putting
what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that was another blessing, and his community that he had built is incredible. They've helped me. Gosh, I can't. Yeah, again, another magical story that community helped. But he created this, so every year we commit to it, and it sort of holds our feet to the fire on getting out and getting our walks in and getting our rucks in. So that was sort of the secondary catalyst to training and rucks. But one year we were training for the 50-mile march. It was Memorial Day, I think, and Lindy was gone. I was on one. I don't know. I was in a bad place, just mentally.
Yep.
I was feeling a level of depression and anxiety and fear and disconnection, whatever it was. I don't know, but I forget where you went. You're like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to take the kids to a pool party or whatever it was. So I'm like, yes, good. Please go. I need some time. I was like, what am I going to do? So I sat there. I'm like, you know what? I got my ass up and I went outside and I saw my flag. I grabbed my flag and I just went walking. And I ended up putting in like maybe 11 miles or 10 miles or 12 miles maybe.
people stopped you.
Oh my God. You want to talk about purpose, man? And changing my whole mindset on life. Just walking through Omaha up 5-6 miles out. I had multiple people stop and give me water, ask me what I was doing, giving me the opportunity to tell them what I was training for.
Yep.
Share the purpose, share the vision. Spiritual people praying with me. People,
Come on.
A Navy guy, retired, came and brought me. He left past me, stopped and asked if I needed anything, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all set. I'm good, man. I'm doing this voluntarily, buddy. Nobody's forcing me out here. I'm good.
It's like a Forrest Gump. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
it was.
here.
Yeah, like a few hours out on the road with an American flag. Aside from the constant of hooting and hollering and honking and waving and yelling and Americas and let's goes and make America great again
Yep.
and all the shit you hear when you walk 10 or 11 miles with a flag in your hand. And I was like, oh my God, here's what I did. Magic. I took the simple act of walking and I added purpose to it and intent with the flag. It was accidental. I just know that that's what I was close with, and I knew I had to get out on the road, and I combined the two, and I'm like, oh shit, I added purpose to the ruck.
Love
and
it.
everyone could see it, and then they could feel it, and then they returned it. And by the time Lindy got home, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm good. I'm a new man. Let's go. So ever since then,
That's how he came in the door.
Yeah.
High energy.
Did he just tell you all of this and how did you respond?
Well, I feel like that anxiety and depression was the day before and that morning. Like I don't feel
I
like
don't
it was
remember.
long lasting. Anyways, but I was like, why are you in such a funk? Like what's
Yeah.
wrong? Of course, it's probably business and stress and
Yeah,
whatever. but,
life, yeah.
and then he came home and he was like, let's go. What are we gonna do? And I was like, what just happened? He was like, babe, you've got to hear this.
we're going for a walk tomorrow with a flag. Wait till you see this. I took my kids out for 5
From
miles.
that morning, or from that day on, we have walked with a flag. We don't own our property.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Getting out on the road is what's important.
Yeah.
I took my kids out on 370
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of the day with the flag, and they were like, this is the greatest, because everyone would just drive by and honk.
Honked,
I mean,
yeah.
you would go in 10 minutes. There's stretches where it's quiet, but in 10 minutes, I mean, it's easy to get 50 people drive by you and honk a car. And then one person hears another person honk, and then another person. I'm like, we're just out here literally spreading patriotism and joy.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes.
From here, because we lived across the neighborhood from you guys, from here we walked to Target, and
On Center?
180th,
Which is
in
about like
Center.
5-6 miles there.
Yeah, probably about a 5.5 mile
Yeah,
ruck.
I would say.
Yep.
But I will never forget crossing that intersection and all the honks. Everyone honk, honk, honk.
Yeah.
That's
it's a cool
awesome.
feeling. So that's why but that all started with the 50-mile march. That's why we do it.
Yep.
They've raised millions now. At the time, it was their third year or second year that we got involved. And they have raised millions. He's turned that thing from a passion project on him doing it by himself. And then Jamie Seaman came on board. She had some local fame. was the Mrs. America.
Mrs. Nebraska.
Yeah, or
right?
Mrs. Nebraska.
Yeah, she's the OBGYN, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
OB. So she came on
That's
board and did it with him, and they got a little bit of traction, and they were doing some good things, but it was more of like it was a pass through where they were raising money and just passing it on to nonprofits, and now they have their own nonprofit. They're raising millions.
Come on.
They
Love
plan
it.
on building like a compound for like transition veterans to help them provide housing and jobs, and they've got a huge mission.
Love that.
And they're raising tons of money and doing really good things. So
Yeah,
but
that's so
that's
cool.
that's what we were training for.
Very cool. We get a lot of military people that come to us looking for help
Oh,
for marriage stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really surprising because I think the community in itself does a good job, but for whatever reason, the outliers just get left. And most of them are kind of special ops, especially men.
Yeah.
And then women that come and have somebody that served or their husband serves
Yeah.
and it's gone. And when you're kind of, as you guys know, like deployments, when they're gone for a long period of time, then all of a sudden you have to be reintroduced to what the family life is like.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys, man, just can't figure it out.
So check this out. Because you say that, I'll touch on this. Remember the story of me at Army training at Fort Knox, having the dream on the Bourbon Trail, calling Lindy? So that was when I decided I was going to do this. That was also when I decided I was going to do a purpose-driven business as a nonprofit. The Distinguished Honor Grad in Army training gets to speak at graduation. And our Distinguished Honor Grad, Emmett, decided that he was going to, instead of talking about graduation, he was going to talk for whatever it was, 6 minutes or whatever they gave him to speak about veteran suicide. So as I sit there going, I'm going to do this, and I don't know what it is, I sit there listening, and I'm like, that's my purpose. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Again, I was choosing a purpose.
Yeah.
That's not really how it works all the way. Some element of choice, but
I think God drops those bombs. Like
Bingo.
it's got
Yep.
to be something that stirs you up, and you're like,
course.
man,
Yeah.
I can get behind this.
That's right.
I can stand behind this.
And I was like, boom. I'm so passionate about it. I'm in the fight. I understand the men in the military. I got this. I can make a difference there. That was when that bomb connected me to Jay, who had this actual business doing this, right? We were at, what's that place called?
Space Museum.
Yeah,
Air
the-
and Space Museum in Ashland.
oh,
in
Saf
Ashland.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And Connie from the gym
Okay.
takes me and says, she invited us there, and she's like, oh my God, you've got to come and meet my friend Jay, who was hosting this whole thing. And Connie and Eric were, I don't know, maybe co-sponsors of the event. I think Benchmark was a co-sponsor. Yeah, because that guy spoke, and he was a Benchmark guy. So anyhow, so how magical is that? Like the gym connection
Yep.
to come right to Connie, to come right to Jay, to, of course, rolling out. And Jay's mission, veteran suicide. And I'm like, no way, this
Yep.
is
Yeah.
incredible.
Plus, Jay was a big whiskey guy.
He was also, he doesn't drink, he hasn't drank in, I don't know,
He collects it.
a year and a, he was a whiskey guy. So instantly hit it off. But veteran suicide, so as I was kind of crafting what could how am I going to do this? How am I going to launch this business? And as we spoke pre-podcast was, we're going to make this one element of our business because our purpose is greater. And our purpose is the purpose of all of the purposes coming together,
Yep.
centered around the core purposes, God being one, of course, and freedom and bringing us to the table just like this.
Yep.
Which is why we brought our kitchen table into our podcast. Another sidebar on that. Because this is where the magic happens. And we
Yeah,
said,
man.
if we can bring as many people to this table as possible, so how could we do it around purpose? But we're going to franchise this out, and we're going to put each individual location will be their own purpose-driven business, and then your purpose can be whatever it is for you, and your purpose can be whatever it is, and so on and so forth. And we'll all center around this one core concept of the preservation of God and freedom.
Let's go, man. Good for you guys.
There it is.
That's going to be so much fun to see how that thing scales and what it does. And
We're close, man.
yeah,
We're close.
the Lord will have favor on that, man.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But I also sold the devil, right? My brother warns me. He's like, watch out, bro. They'll come for you. The moment
They
you
will.
try to bring people together and do God's work, they're going to come for you, buddy.
They do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live it
Yeah.
every day, man. Like the stories we get are so tragic, man. And you got to just stay positive because we see
Yeah.
mostly nothing but chaos.
Oh,
of just broken marriages, and you're just like, your heart breaks for those people, man. But you know that there's more. You know that there's opportunity. You know that they have a purpose, and so often people just don't know what their purpose is. They lack identity. Yeah, they lack identity. They lack identity, and they've been told something and believe the lies all the way back from early childhood. Because we come into marriage with 2 suitcases full of junk. Most of the time, we don't share that junk. Then all of a sudden we throw all that stuff into the bed. We start sleeping on all the dirty clothes that we've worn for our entire life. Roll over on that shirt and you're like, man, why does that hurt? Why does that make me feel the way that this is? Like, that makes me feel like when the 3rd grade person dumped me, or when I got bullied on the playground or something like that. So it's like they lose their security at such a young age and never find it until it's too late most of the time. It's so tragic, man. But if you can look at people with the eyes of destiny and opportunity, there's something better for you. But you have to be intentional with going to pursue it, man. You got to put that stake in the ground. Get the plate out. Write down. I love that metaphorically, because it is something that's like on the table.
Clear the plate, man.
Just simply the dinner table. You were talking about, like, so many families don't even sit around the dinner table anymore. Ugh. We get it one day a week, and we're like, this is the best day ever. Because we're going 1,000 different directions. Of course. Kids' sports and life in general. And for us, like, Sunday mornings is a non-negotiable. And this put our son in a tough spot. He's made a select baseball team, and they were playing on Sunday mornings. And I just went to the coach and said, hey, I got to be honest with you, man. We don't miss church on Sunday mornings. So we'll be here as soon as the game's over, or as soon as church is over, but he will not be able to make it to the early morning games on Sunday. So guess what? Homie's sitting on the bench. He doesn't get to go play as much because we have that conversation with the coach. And
when he gets older,
he'll remember
the
that
value,
the
lessons.
The same thing with football. I mean, we just made that call, like, hey, and thankfully Gretna, for where we live, they don't start games until afternoon on Sundays for that reason. But if it's tournament play or it's something else, they don't care.
Of course not.
And it's easier when they're old or when they're younger. Because when they're older, you can't always do that. But it's making a choice. And what I want to go back to just really quick is, you guys have said throughout, you've had to make choices throughout your marriage. Yeah. They weren't always easy. Talk to the couple who might be having just been married a year or a couple years or 15 years, and there's a choice to stay or leave, a choice to pursue something else, on their own. Split everything. What would you tell the couple who's thinking about making the choice out?
We were faced with that a couple times.
Yeah. You go first.
No, you go first.
Oh, my goodness. I would just, if you go all in and you both are committed and you both know that you married each other, if you come back, I do this a lot. I come back to why I married you a lot. Still, because you lose sight of that. And so if you know that you want to make it work and he knows that he wants to make it work, you have to just go all in and put every single thing, even your children at some point. You have to go literally all in with God.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it, man. It is.
To me, in my mind, it's so simple. Like, if you know and he knows, if he doesn't know or if she doesn't know, then you have work to do. You need to go see Kevin and Bree. But if you know that you want to, stay married and be happy for the rest of your life, and the opposite knows, like, you just put in the work. You put
make
each
a
other
choice
first, always, no matter what.
Yeah, put each other first. That's smart.
So good.
We learned this. This was something that was intentional, but we didn't really understand what the impact and how powerful it was of me leaning into Lindy and Lindy leaning into me. I serve Lindy's best intentions, and Lindy serves mine. And if I serve hers and she serves mine, it immediately takes us all off of defense. Everyone's on offense.
Yep.
And when we do that, we're able to overcome challenges. And not only that, the challenges become less and less frequent. Mm-hmm. And we make a claim all the time, like, we don't really fight. Do we disagree? Sure. Do we bicker? It's mostly just me bitching and her listening. And if I'm wrong, I'm so fast. She's never wrong. So let's
naturally.
Let's clarify that.
Yeah.
She's never wrong. Really, truly never wrong. every now and then, if she does something, it's like innocent, a mistake, or like taken the wrong way or something. Like she's never trying to, always serving everyone. That's what Lindy does really well.
Yeah.
So all I really had to do was point my service in.
Come on.
And now I'm in a situation where she's serving me, I'm serving her best interest, and no one's on defense.
Yep.
And when you live your life with no one on defense, we watch couples all the time, which they just have opposite goals. They have opposite intentions. They have opposite values, maybe. They have opposite interests. And we look at them and we're like, well, yeah, no shit, you're struggling. You have your thing that you want to do, and she has her thing that she wants to do, and you're each fighting to do what you each want to do.
Yeah.
But if both of you simultaneously, and one, not that I'm a marriage counselor or do this at all for a living, and we try to act, we tend to shy away from it. Maybe we're doing a disservice by doing so, but I don't want to go in and tell people how to run their marriage, you know? It's not really my place. You didn't ask me, so... But we see it from the outside. Well, someone has to give first in many cases.
Yep. Someone's got to jump off that crazy cycle.
Yeah, jump off a crazy cycle.
Yep.
Yes, jump off the crazy cycle and do whatever she wants. And the moment I was willing to do whatever she wanted, it was like magic.
Yeah.
Anything and everything that I wanted to do, I took off my plate. Everything. And it didn't matter what it was. I convinced her that the business had to be there because in order for us to grow and flourish and live our lives, we have to make income. Like, sorry. But other than that, it's just my wife and kids. And if I put wife first, children second, and then everything else after that, magic.
It's amazing, dude, because the season, that's for a season that you have to put everything on hold.
Yeah, that's right.
You go through a season of having to put everything on hold, depending on where you're at.
Sure.
But now here you are getting to do everything that you want to do. Right. You get to do all the things you want to do. In marriage, so many people think it's 50-50. And they hear this all the time, right? You can go find it on any podcast clip or anything. Marriage is not 50-50.
What do you say it is?
It's 100%, 100%.
100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if I'm showing up with 47, she's got to know that
Nope.
53. Hey, I need you at 53 today, babe, because if we're getting to 100, she's like, I don't have 53, I got 52. Well, we got a gap.
Yeah.
Who's going to cover that gap? Well, I guess I've got to raise up. So it's like 100% every single day
always.
of trying to outserve the other person. And not in a prideful way, just because you love them, man. And it's like, I don't want to be the reason for your crazy.
Sacrifices.
Yeah, I don't want to be the reason for your crazy.
Yeah,
And I was
That's
for
so
so
good.
many
That's
years.
so
I was
I heard a
too, man.
podcast the other day of a guy that was talking about that, had been through a ton of infidelity and drug use and all of that. And his wife started to believe the crazy part of that because he had lied to her for so long. So she believed all of those lies and she starts to think, I'm the one that's crazy. It's me. And then it comes out that it's not.
I almost
the
had
case.
you.
I almost had you. So close.
I was close. I
So
almost had
close.
you thinking you were
And then
crazy.
you would have broke.
Yeah,
and you would have had to have the
I'd have
plane.
been free. Yeah.
But
No.
it's true, man. We especially when you're a type A driven person, you want
Yeah.
things to get done.
I was going to say, we've talked about this several times on our podcast as well. Each spouse has to have their own role. And
Oh, yeah, rolls.
I am not a type A person at all.
Either.
I'm the opposite.
Either.
I'm like type Z. And I personally believe, and I have always believed that the man has to be the dominant one to provide for the family, do all these things that the man is supposed to do in a marriage, and the wife is the support system, Now, obviously, cooking and cleaning and all that, whatever, that's just minor stuff that you can each figure out. But I believe that in a marriage, the man is the dominant one and makes most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Masculine. Let him be masculine.
That was
Yeah.
my word the other day. I
Yep.
believe that a lot of women desire to have masculine men, and that's how I believe I have become so submissive
Yep.
almost
Yep.
to make it work, because when you have financial decisions to make or business decisions to make or even just father decisions to make for our family, like that's how it works. I'm like, he explained it to me, we have a conversation about it, we pray about it, and ultimately it's, I don't know, I just feel like masculine part is like the way that people get through
And
marriages.
It's being,
It's so
being
true.
suppressed by everybody right now. I mean, our
course it
culture
is.
is just trying to demolish
is.
that. And it's like,
Yeah.
one of the things that's so beautiful about it, like that's a mic drop moment almost,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
so true. But it's so hard for so many women only
Yes.
because
Of course.
they've been raised thinking about it so much differently than what you just described. And it's easy to submit to somebody when we're under submission to the Lord. You said we pray about it.
Yeah, bro, we're not really submitting
No,
to anybody.
I'm submitted to the Lord. I'm
Yeah.
going to do what He calls me to do in the season. By doing so, my wife can now trust me. And the fact that, okay, you're talking about on the walk. So masculinity is fantastic.
Of course.
But the most masculine men also have an emotional side that they can convey to their wife. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to go out into the free world and talk about how big of a wimp I am in some of these areas of my life. But when I'm sitting here with my wife, like, dude, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm weak.
Yep.
I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with depression. I'm struggling with anxiety. I need your help.
I think that's his best quality.
Yeah.
Being so manly and being able to, whatever.
It's
No,
it's true. It's the safety side that women need, because like we put this front on like we've got the whole world figured out, bro. I don't have it figured out, but I can sure fake it, and that'll get me a long
Work
way.
it and try and figure
Dude,
it
I'll
out.
strap the work boots on and you
Yep.
just try to outwork me.
Yep.
Got me into a bad dark spot.
Yeah.
Man.
I love this though, because Lindy, you're emotional
So,
talking
all
about
the
it.
time.
No,
About
no,
this, but-
So is Bree.
So here I am too. But so here you are. You've been in the Army. You're a badass.
22 years of badassness.
I mean, so good, and there were times where you went out and you had a living. You brought in the money and you still supported him, and you guys had this common purpose. We keep going back to it, but I don't hear you saying, women can't do all these things. It's like women need to be feminine, and women need to be soft and a safe space for their husbands, so we can build this. But we desire safety, and we desire that leadership, and it's so much easier when someone is humble and comes to you and shares these things. Because I was just listening to a podcast with John Maxwell and Ed Mylett.
And I'm not all the way,
Beast.
but it is so good. And he the one thing I took away so far is that John Maxwell, who's a legend, he didn't bring his best one time to this round table, this discussion, this paid event. And so his team told him, and so he received it, and he was like, dang, I can't live with that. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. He was humble. He brings it. He's this amazing guy. He reaches out and is like, you got to forgive me. Like, I got to make it right. When our husbands come to us with their weaknesses and are able to have that safety, we want to support. For years, I would tear him down when he would do that, because I was so hurt and so bitter. But when I learned that he's this little boy within him that he needs someone to be safe with, it really changed our marriage. And it really made me see, like, okay, he actually doesn't have it all figured out, but he's got our best interests and he wants to lead. How can I get it, behind that and get underneath that?
That's what I love working with men, man, especially when I get these military guys, because my foundation for when we do couples coaching as well as individual coaching. When I work with men, it's all based on the foundation of being the pastor of their heart, protector of their mind, and provider of stability. Where so often I got that wrong, of provider of financial things. If I can provide a roof over your head, if I can provide nice things, we're going to be good. Protection, physically, all day long, I've always worked out. But I didn't know how to protect my wife's mind. Like, all of those thoughts. When you're saying, like, financially, I was worried during different seasons. I don't ever think about that. Like, I'll just go make more money. Yeah, it's just like, I'll just go make more. She's over here going, dude, we got bills to pay. I'm not a big deal. Let's make more money. Make more money. Like, they're still pregnant, so let's go get it.
They're still
I would say financially is
For now, right.
one of the things that can swing either way, though.
Yeah.
You can have the moneymaker being the wife as a, doctor,
100%.
business or whatever, but I use that as like the olden days where the men went out and worked, and that's what I meant. But
Yeah, there's obviously women who are breadwinners.
Mm-hmm.
But women being in their feminine energy and in their roles as such is important. And some people can be like, you can be different, and that's fine. But establishing the roles in business, we have sort of a thing where we say, if more than one person is accountable, then nobody is accountable.
That's good.
Okay? And if we have one seat, we can have one person that sits in two seats. But you can't have two people that sit in one seat. Someone has to be the mother, and it can't be the father. unless there is no mother, and then the father sits in the father and the mother's seat. Or there is no father, then the mother sits in the father and the mother's seat. Like, sure, you can occupy 2 seats, but 2 people can't occupy 1 seat, because then you have 2 people that are accountable. 2 people are accountable, or more than one. No one is actually accountable, because we can each say, that's on you, that's on you. Yeah, well, I was 49, you were 51. No, this is your role, this is your position, you play that position. If you fail, if you succeed, those are your failures and your successes. That's how important roles are in business, and it literally will be the difference maker between a successful or a failing business.
So good.
I agree with it. So I literally, you said it at the very start of this, taking the business principles that I knew and understood well and being like, listen, this is your role.
Yeah.
You willing to take that role? This is what we do in business. Like, who wants this? And then someone's like, shh, I'll take that one. Reluctantly or joyfully, they're taking the role, and then that's yours. Everything in that is yours.
Yep.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be, if they're absent a father, like, women have to bring that. And if they don't bring that masculine energy to that role, what happens to the kids?
Dude, they never see it.
They never see it.
They never see it.
And then we have all the fallout that comes with never seeing the masculinity. So
But I love it because men need a feminine support system. Like we need to be that, and I want to honor him, and so I'm going to provide that safe space. So I love that
You
you
can be
said
my
that.
biggest cheerleader or my biggest critic. And I want you to be my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, I was critic for a long time, and I want to get a big cheerleader.
It's so fun though, man.
have you guys ever told your story on your podcast?
We have
Yeah.
our very first one that we ever did.
This is an opening story.
Yep.
Did you just tell it to the world yourself?
We did.
Did anyone ask you questions?
We've done
I told my version for a long time before that.
We've done it
Together,
a couple different ways. We've been on some videos and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's interesting. You guys have a really cool story that tells this story.
it's all God, man. It's how we found our purpose.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
I was a fallen man that got knocked to my knees, and thankfully God's hand was the one hand that was in front of my face at the right time.
Dude,
And
what a powerful story. You do individual coaching.
Individual, both of us do. We really started with couples, and we love working with couples because it's just so much easier when you have both people there.
Yeah.
But there's so many people out there that don't. So we want to be able to give them hope. So Bree really works with women on healing and identity and purpose. Our 2 main themes for women.
Yeah,
and then mine
literally.
are, the pastor, protector, and provider. And then I've got the 5 pieces on top of that. Who is giving me vision? Who's getting my best? Who's going to battle with me? Will I be ready when it matters most? And will my legacy last?
You guys wrote this program?
We did.
It's pretty impressive.
Yep.
That brought you together too, I'm sure, talking about how we're going to help other people.
Yeah. We did ministry for a couple years, which was a lot of fun, just marriage ministry. It's
learned
24/7,
time.
man. You talk
Yeah.
about it just
Constant.
never ends, and it's a lot of it's a ton of work, but it's fun. But it's also just like it's different, And I'm a business guy.
Yeah,
I've been in corporate America for 25 years, and I love building businesses and scaling businesses. So
Here you go.
here we go.
Got one, baby.
Here we are, man.
When purpose aligns with
That's
business,
right, dude.
I'm sure it's going to.
Then you just go.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna go crazy,
Even when it's
too.
not great, it still fills us up. So
Yeah, listen, you guys have a really impressive story. A lot of adversity and challenges to
Same.
overcome.
yeah.
Same.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. Crazy ride.
Why you got to say it like that?
Because marriage is
Not all
nuts.
of it was fun, is why. Yeah.
It was like, it hasn't always been fun. Maybe a little crazy too, but
I think it's what shaped us. Like, I think we had to go through that.
You do.
I think we had to do that to have this.
One of the things I hear all the time when somebody's gone through a major event, for us, infidelity, and I've got another guy that I'm working with, infidelity. Well, how did his wife ask him this? The question was it worth it? And the answer is like, I don't know how you say no to that. Like, no, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
but
I'm
if
here.
I hadn't,
Would I be here?
we certainly wouldn't be where we're at today.
Yeah.
I wish I could have done it different, but it's all I knew at the time. I found my identity through other women. When I didn't feel secure, I went elsewhere to look for it. That was my weakness. So would I want to do it again? Hell no.
Right. Yeah,
Hell
no.
no.
No way.
But the application and correlation drawn between business and marriage strikes again. And there's another one with the gym and weightlifting, like you've got to go through the challenges and the pain to get the results, right? In business, it's the same thing. You know, people ask me about that, my first business that ended horribly, left me with zero income and nothing, no backing, nothing to stand on. And I look at that, and it was just the other day, recently. I feel like it was yesterday, or the day before. So I was just telling somebody, shoot. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
Like, what, did it suck? Yes, it was terrible. It was awful. It was dark. It spun me into that. It kept me away from my family. Would I do it again? I mean, not voluntarily.
Right.
Yeah.
But do I appreciate it for what it was? It was Mikey. It was at home. And Steve, we were talking about it. Like, I had to do that because that made me what I am today.
Yep.
That transformed my marriage. That transformed my mindset, my business, the way I treat my family, my appreciation for life. Because of that dark spot, I was truly able to, again, just being raised as a Christian and as a Catholic was one thing. But me going through the darkness that led me to my light.
Yeah.
That was my journey. I had to do that.
Yep.
And that was part of it. So would I go back and change it? No, I wouldn't want to go through it again.
Nope.
But
The difference of mile
But I sure
markers and
would.
roadblocks, baby.
Yeah, that's
I want
it,
them to be
bro.
mile markers, not
Yeah.
roadblocks.
I'm
Like
outta here.
we're going past this one. I'll remember it, but I don't. If I see a roadblock, man, I got to figure out how I'm going to get through it. And so
Yeah.
many people get stopped by
it's
them.
like basic training and deployment. Like the challenges that shape soldiers are. Yeah, that was one of the darkest yet lightest and enlightening times of my life. The hardest challenges of my life. I kind of, in a weird way, loved it.
Yep.
Wouldn't want to go do it again. And it certainly shaped who I am today, you know.
Are you
I know we
familiar
talk
with
about
John
that.
Lavelle?
No, he's a
He's an ex-Army Ranger. I'll send you the book, dude. I'm loving it right now. His book is called The Warrior Poet Way.
Oh no.
And it's all about being a warrior and then learning how to like love your wife, what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely just like
He tells everybody.
I do. I'm telling everybody about this
Right,
right
I'm in
now.
on it.
It is so good. The Warrior Poet Way. And he talks a lot about combat stuff, what that looked like, and then entering back into civilian life. And
love that.
and how their marriage, they were not equally yoked, and they had to get equally yoked on, okay, Jesus is going to be the center of our marriage. Otherwise, we're going to just ruin this thing.
Yeah.
He talks about getting into tap with like your emotions and then raising kids the right way, homeschooling them, some stuff like that.
Let's
like
go,
with
homeschool.
boys, how it's okay for a boy to cry when it's about the conditions of his heart, but don't cry when it's about pain. Like if you get hurt, we're not going to cry about getting hurt. But if your heart's broken,
There's the words.
That's a different
That's
story.
what I tell my kids. But not in those words.
Yeah, but if it's like your heart, like if it's an emotional thing because you've grieving, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
your wife, your guys are going through something, get it, man. You should have emotion in those
Dude,
moments.
That's what I teach my kid. They cut their finger or they fall, and I'm like, oh, not everything has to be crying. But
Right.
if they're crying because they miss their papa,
Yes.
if they're crying because they miss their mom, if they're crying because someone hurt them,
But you got to educate them on
I'm
the,
in on
the
that.
reason
Those are
of
the
like
words.
why.
Thank you.
Why am I educate? Why do I want to educate? I don't want them to think you can't cry.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't want to teach them you are not allowed to cry.
No.
But I do want to teach them you shouldn't cry if you bang your thumb on a hammer. Like deal with it, dude. It hurts.
that, yeah.
It's gonna hurt. But if your wife or your girlfriend breaks your heart, like
can cry.
it's all right.
yeah,
Love
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
I'll send it. It's so good.
Please do.
Audiobook,
Yeah,
I
that's
love it.
those are great words for me. And those,
Yeah.
to pass on to my kids because I teach them that those principles, but I don't have those words for it.
Yeah. We'll steal them. That's why somebody else does it.
Yoink! They just got stolen. Done. Check.
Check.
They just got yoinked. I will be delivering
takes a
that the
village,
next time
baby.
they cry.
It takes a
Yeah,
village.
that's right, and I appreciate your point of that.
Awesome.
You're part
This
of
has
that.
been a ton of fun, guys. Love
Yeah,
you
man.
guys. Love your story.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for
for
having
taking some
us.
time to join us.
I'm a mess of emotions all the time.
That's okay.
Same.
I just
So
can't
sweet.
get
Same.
on.
I wasn't today, but same. Normally.
Listen, I came into this with a mission not to cry today, so I'm like, no way. But
I was gonna say our kids see us cry a
yeah.
lot. A lot.
Oh yeah.
Happy tears,
Yeah.
sad tears,
Yep.
mourning tears.
Yeah, we have so much to be happy for and so much to be thankful for and so much, that we should stand on as proud and energetic and happy to deliver it to the world. And you guys are doing that, by the way. It's really awesome to see what you guys are doing. I remember when you first started this.
Yeah, man. All God's
Killing
story.
it. Yeah, you're killing it. I love your story too. You guys
Thanks,
have a
man.
great story. Yeah, way to be.
Awesome.
Next time we're talking politics.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, we didn't even get into politics.
That's all right.
Wait, fire it back up. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, listen, invite us back. We'll come back
Yeah.
at any time. Yeah.
Wow, what an incredible story that we just got to experience. We hope you were just as moved as we were listening to that story. Drop a comment below and tell us what you learned and how the story impacted you. We can't wait to share our next story with you, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss the next episode of Making Marriage Great Again. We love you. We're praying for you. We can't wait to see you soon.